this was a seismic event within sort of legal and especially Supreme Court culture, which the administration proceeded completely to ignore, right? Talk about and that they will need him. I mean, Roberts in particular, maybe we'll talk more about this, but Roberts is absolutely the pivot point of whether these extravagant claims of national security and therefore extravagant expanses of executive power will fly.
Just this within the past week, we had something extraordinary happen where Chief Justice John Roberts publicly rebuked the Trump administration's calls to impeach a judge, Judge Boasberg, over these rulings over the migrant deportations. For more than 2 centuries, it has been established, he said, that impeachment is not an appropriate response of disagreement concerning a judicial decision. A normal appellate process, review process exists for that purpose. It seemed kind of eyebrow raising to the rest of the world. How did it read in the legal community?
Eyebrows to the very back of the head, if they can be raised that far. Look, I courted up there. I teach about the court. I know the court pretty well. This is stunning. There's no precedent for a chief justice will talk in court, will talk at where required to do so, like if presiding over impeachment or giving an address to Congress. A freestanding sua sponte, as the judges would say, just statement like this about a political subject entering into the political fray like this, deafening. And a couple other points to do. It happened just like a couple hours after Trump's statement. And it had to be done. He would not have issued it alone. He didn't have to get all nine to sign off, but other justices had to be similarly appalled. Which augurs poorly, and they were. So this was a seismic event within sort of legal and especially Supreme Court culture, which the administration proceeded completely to ignore, right? Talk about and that they will need him. I mean, Roberts in particular, maybe we'll talk more about this, but Roberts is absolutely the pivot point of whether these extravagant claims of national security and therefore extravagant expanses of executive power will fly. He says this thing, and they don't have the sense to shut up. The next day, Trump does a fundraising announcement talking about impeachment. Elon Musk, the visionary imbecile, gives the maximum amount of money, throws his money around to the seven members of the House who have called for impeachment, supporting it in the most robust way he can. And they've continued to trash Boasberg, who's the one they called for the impeachment of, to the current day. So either they're just so dead set on winning that they're, cutting off their nose to spite their face, or they are completely, I really want to say objectively, obviously my colors are showing a little, but this is not a sophisticated crowd legally. Pam Bondi is not a sophisticated actor. Donald Trump doesn't know the first thing about not just the Constitution, but about legal culture. But for the Chief Justice to make that proclamation and have them continue to act as they have and basically thumb their nose at him, it's heart-stopping for me as someone who knows the court, but also I just got to think it's
Is
idiotic
very,
for
very,
them.
very briefly, is just Chief Justice Roberts' message directed also to other federal judges as kind of a hang in there and to his own court?
Right. And by the way, he's worried about physical risk I mean, actually, right? We got 700 plus federal judges, and these are completely, this to me, it was really mainly a Trump. It's like January 6th dynamic to me, Pat. As he fans the flames, it increases the danger on federal judges. And we had a judge whose kid was killed. Whether it's about this or not, we certainly have Boasberg himself, his daughter got the Domino's pizza treatment, which is another way of saying we know where you live. It's just so beyond the pale. And there is, one of these days, like somebody could really get hurt. And for Trump to be fanning the flames as opposed to saying, as January 6th, do not do anything violent. Let's not be stupid. We can express our opposition to the court respectfully and peacefully, but he's not. And if something bad happens, he's a but for cause. That might not be legally, he might have, well, we know already he can't be criminally prosecuted for almost anything, but it's a terrible dereliction of duty. He is really endangering judges around the country. It's
It,
despicable.